Hello, in this video we're going to talk about some niche gameplay mechanics in Limbus Company. There's a lot of misinformation on this topic and a lot of community myths. If you Google some of these, like Limbus Company who wins on a speed tie, a lot of answers will come up that just aren't true. So I opted to work some video clips into this video, although that makes production a little more scuffed. But anyway, let's get right into it. Okay, these are the 5 topics of discussion. Turn order, ego resources, offsetting, combat start defense skills, and corrosion. And let's just get right into it. Alright, the rules of turn order. The rules of turn order are simple on their face. Fastest speed goes first. However, things get much more complicated when a speed tie occurs. However, there is a way to tell who's going to win on a speed tie if we enter concise mode. Before we talk about this anymore, let me pull up a video example of what concise mode is. Currently, we can see that there are 4 enemy butlers on 5 speed, yet on maximum information, as we can see here, max information, I don't know who's going to go first. They all have 5 speed, and I don't know who's going to go first. However, if we switch it to concise mode here, now the arrows that are flashing, the order that they flash in is the turn order. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's see. We just have to have Arseners go first since we had higher speed. Okay, here's the man with the glasses, the man with the pride skill, the maid with the envy skill, and then the other maid with the pride skill. And if we rewind the clip, that was exactly the order. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's perfect. Let's see another example of that. Here we've got Ryoshu on 4 speed, making an unopposed attack, who is also being hit with an unopposed attack from a maid on 4 speed. And I don't know who's going to go first on max information mode. I can't tell if Ryoshu is going to get hit or if the maid is going to get hit first. I don't know. But if we put it in concise mode and we pay attention to the flash of the arrows, that will tell us the turn order. So let's wait and see what happens. Okay, 1, 2. So unfortunately, Ryoshu will be getting hit before she can use her own skill. Let's see that. Just have to wait our turn. Yep, and Ryoshu got hit, even though they were tied on speed. I did not win the speed tie, but the game told us that was exactly what's going to happen if we watch that again. You can see that the maid flashes, and then Ryoshu flashes, and that lets us know the turn order. However, as mentioned here, there is a big caveat to this. Concise mode assumes that the sinners are faster than their opponents, and if this is not the case, it will spit out misinformation. So let's see a video example of this. Here, Ishmael, who has 4 speed, is clashing with a maid who has 5 speed, while we also have Dawn Office Sinclair making an unopposed attack here, and he's also on 4 speed. Ishmael will go first before Dawn Office Sinclair since she's clashing with someone on 5 speed, but that's not what concise mode will tell us. We watch the order the arrows flash in, we'll see that Sinclair's arrow will actually flash first. See? 1, 2. So that is the caveat to concise mode, is it thinks you're faster. And if you aren't faster, you need to manually compare the speed values. So in that case, I had to manually compare that Ishmael was clashing with someone's speed 5, so I knew she would go before Sinclair. But that problem with concise mode only applies in the scenario where you're slower. Otherwise, it's going to tell you the right answer. And there we go. Blind Obsession went off before Dawn Office Sinclair. Okay. The last bit to note is that defense skills will always use the attacker's speed. So if you use your defense skills, it'll use their speed. And if they use a defense skill, it'll use your speed. Just a little quirk of that. Okay, that's enough about turn order. Let's talk about ego resource generation. So first little interesting bit of trivia is that lost clashes actually do give ego resources. This is because, if we pull up an example here, the thing that matters for ego resource generation is that you roll a coin. That seems to be the threshold for when an ego resource is generated. So if we get to Otis here in a moment, just have to get to these clashes. Thank you, Yisung. Very cool. We'll see that Otis is rolling coins, but she loses the clash. Very, very sad. Just have to wait through this for a second, too. And there it is. We got a sloth resource, even though Otis got staggered. Pause this. So, another last bit to note is that if you run out of... Oh, sorry, I forgot about point 2. One-sided defense skills do not give ego resources. This is because they do not roll a coin, as we just discussed. You need to be rolling coins in order to receive ego resources. And regarding the third bullet point, running out of a resource will end a passive. The language isn't entirely clear on that. It says like 3 owned. That's not 3 owned to turn it on. That means you need to have 3 owned for it to be on. Okay. Now let's talk about offsetting. And this is where things get weird. So offsetting is when 2 defense skills clash with each other, except instead of clashing, they don't roll coins and they just turn each other off. However, there are some big exceptions to this. First of all, counters cannot be offset. However, counters can be used to offset even though they cannot be offset themselves. Offsetting does not give ego resources, but if you use a counter to offset, it will still activate and it will still give you ego resources, again, because you're rolling a coin. So let's see an example of this. Let me pull up a clip. We go here. We can see this is the same clip from earlier. Yisong's counter is being used to offset. However, wait for Yisong to show up. Or sorry, this isn't the same clip. I misspoke when I said that. There it is. Yisong gets hit. Yisong uses his counter. And there it is. We got a gloom resource. Perfect. Yep. You can see it was 5 here. And then, because he got to roll a coin at the end of the clip, it's 6. So it works. Just an interesting little weird bit of trivia about offsetting. Okay. Now let's talk about defense skills with a combat start effect. This is also where things get weird. This is skills like Swai Ishmael's guard or Solemn Lament's Yisong's reload. You can see here it has a combat start effect, then usually it gives you some kind of perk. Okay, so these effects will still activate even if the skill is offset. I'm not entirely sure why this is, but it just is. Even if the skill is deactivated by offset, you still get its perk. The same goes for if the effect is one-sided. So even if you aren't rolling any coins or doing anything with it, you will still get the effect. However, even though the skill has activated by giving you your perk, you will still not get an ego resource because you did not roll any coins. So just a weird way that works. I mean, It just shows that it's not the activation of the skill that matters, it's the rolling coins that matters for ego resource generation. Okay. Now, let's see an example of this. Pull up the okay. Skip ahead. Okay. And we'll see that Ishmael did nothing, nothing at all, and she got defense stance. She didn't have defense stance before, and now after a turn of literally doing nothing, she never rolled a coin, never did anything, her combat start effect still activated. So offset at will and have no fear that you won't lose out on your perks. It's a nice little bonus. All right, let's talk about ego corrosion now. Ego corrosion has some weird effects. If you overclock an ego to corrode, you can go into negative ego resources. Um, it really needs a video to show this. This is actually very strange. So here we can see we have Yisong and Faust, both of whom need Gloom to use their ego. So Faust wants to use Fluid Sac, but oh no, I don't have enough Gloom and Lust. Sad day. But if we go to Yisong, I have enough Gloom to use Sun Shower. Yay! But weirdly enough, let's play that again one more time. I can use overclocked Sun Shower and go to negative Gloom. I'm on -1. It's very strange. It's very strange. The same goes for if you're forcibly corroded by hitting -45 sanity. You will use ego even if you have insufficient resources, and it will also allow you to go into negative ego resources. It's quite a curious little thing. Alright, I hope you learned something from this video. I'll try to make more videos. I know the level of scuff in this video was high, but I hope those clips showing turn order helped explain how concise mode works and how you can figure out who's going to go first on a speed tie. And I hope the other stuff about offsetting and defense skills was interesting. And good luck out there, manager. I will see you around.